going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions. So you are going to need your interactive binder page that I told you was page 17, but I mistakenly wrote down the wrong page when I put that in Google Classroom, so I apologize. It should actually be page 16. So if you have a binder, you can go ahead and open up those rings and just swap these two pages 16 and 17 out. So this should be right behind the green page, the GCF and the LCM page. If you have yours in a folder, it's not the end of the world if they're out of order a little bit. It's not the end of the world. You can certainly take it apart and make it page 16. If you don't want to, that's okay too. So I apologize, that was my mistake. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are going to do is we are going to take some notes in our interactive binder. Multiplying fractions is really easy. You are going to see over here that here are all of our steps that we put in our interactive binder for multiplying. Okay, some of these steps we might have to skip, potentially step 1 and step 4. Okay, you don't actually need to put a box around that, but I'm just pointing out that's what we're going to work on today. So you will change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. We'll talk about that in a minute. Then you're going to go straight across the numerator, multiply straight across the denominator, and then if needed, you're going to simplify. So here's what this looks like. You are going to go ahead and open the first flap, and it says 6 times 1/4. So in that flap, I actually am going to write the problem, and I did that for you to show you. We're going to take 6 times 1/4. My first step tells me to look to see if I need to change anything, change my mixed numbers to improper fractions. Well, I don't have any mixed numbers, but I do see that I have the whole number 1, so I'm going, or the whole number 6. So I'm going to take that 6 and I'm going to put it over 1 to make it a fraction. Now that I did that, I have a numerator and a denominator for both numbers. So I'm going to go straight across my numerator. 6 times 1 is 6. Straight across my denominator, I take that 1 times 4 and I get 4. I see that 6 over 4 is top heavy, so I do need to do step 4, which is simplify. I give it a shove and I topple it over. 4 goes into 6 one time, and when I subtract, I'm left with 2. So 1 2/4. But now I'm not finished, because 1 2/4, the 2 and the 4 can both be divided by 2. So when I do that, 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and 4 divided by 2 gives me a half. Now you're going to notice I started with the whole number 6. When I multiply by a number that's less than 1, my number goes from 6 to 1 1/2. My number actually gets smaller. So when I multiply by a fraction less than 1, my answer is actually going to get smaller. Okay? For the next problem, go ahead and open the flap. Now I'm going to move this. I can't actually write in there because I can't actually lift that on my video. So I'm going to take this problem here. I'm going to write it down here on the bottom, but you're going to open your flap and actually put it inside of here. I just can't do that. So I have 3/5 times 1/6. And again, I'm putting this inside. I'm lifting that middle flap. Now, I can't change any mixed numbers to improper fractions because they already are fractions. I see that this is less than 1 and this is less than 1. So my number is definitely going to get smaller. I'm going to multiply across the numerator and get 3. I'm going to multiply across the denominator and get 30. And then if you remember those 4 numbers, you might want to write these notes here in your notebook, in your note sheets on page 16. 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the first 4 numbers we check in order to simplify. So I can't divide 3 and 30 by 2, but I can divide both of them by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. There's my answer in simplest form. Those notes right there go in this box here underneath. Finally, we're going to answer my last problem. My last problem is 1 and 6 over 7 times 2 and 1/4. And you're going to notice in each of these problems, the multiplication sign is a little bit different. So those are some examples of different signs we can use. First step is to change my improper fractions, or my mixed numbers, to improper fractions. So I multiply, 7 times 1 is 7, plus 6 more gives me 13 over 7, times 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 9 over 4. I have to do a little multiplying. I go straight across my numerator. 13 times 9 is what? 90, 117. And I go straight across my denominator. I get 28. I see that that's an improper fraction, so I topple it over. 28 goes in, let's see here, 4 times? So 4 times 8. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm sorry, my phone keeps dinging. Alright, 4 times 8 is 32. And I get 112. I subtract. I have 4 and 5 left over out of 28. So all of these notes here go in that third box there on the right. I cannot simplify 4 and 5 over 28. When I try simplifying by 2, 3, 5, and 7, it doesn't work. So therefore, my answer is in simplest form. Okay? So this is really, really simple, guys. All we are doing is we are changing our mixed numbers to improper fractions. Then we're going to multiply across the numerator, multiply across the denominator, and use these numbers to simplify if needed. All right, you are going to be taking some time to answer some of these questions as part of your assignment. Unfortunately, guys, the way that our our math journal is set up, there are a lot of really goofy ways they taught you to multiply. They want you to draw pictures, and they want you to hop on number lines, and they want you to break these numbers apart and use different properties. There's no need for any of that. So we are not going to do the pages in the journal. We are simply going to multiply. So if you look at the first problem, okay, there's going to be a lot of simplifying in these problems. So look carefully. Let's do a few together. Okay, you are going to go straight across the numerator and straight across the denominator because they are not mixed numbers. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 6 is 24. Remember, you can use your calculator to help you with all of this. You cannot just type the fraction into your calculator and type the problem in, but you can type 3 times 1 and 4 times 6 in your calculator, or you can use page 2 in your interactive binder. I may want to write the numbers 2, 3, 5, and 7 at the top of my paper because those are the important numbers I'm going to use to simplify. Now, if I look at 3 over 24, 3 is not divisible by 2, but it is divisible by 3, and 24 is divisible by 3 as well. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. That is in simplest form because the only factors of 1 are 1. Let's try a second one. Straight across the numerator because I don't have any mixed numbers. Straight across the denominator. 8 times 7, I could type in my calculator, I get 56. Can I divide them both by 2? I can because they're even. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 56 divided by 2 is 28. My answer is in simplest form. And let's do one more. 6 times 1 is 6. 7 times 4 is 28. I can divide them both by 2 because they're even. I get 3 over 14. And while I can divide the numerator by 3, I can't divide the denominator by 3. So therefore, it's in simplest form. You are going to complete some of these problems and practice some of those. All right, and then we will continue by practicing with this later this week in class.